Have you ever wondered how thin the line is between your consciousness and the external code that governs it? Right now, while you are listening to these words, you are breathing automatically. But now that I have mentioned it, your brain has switched off the autopilot. You feel your lungs drawing in air, and suddenly every breath, every exhale becomes conscious, manual, deliberate. I have just hacked your operating system. The same thing is happening with your eyes. You can always see your own nose, but the brain usually filters that background noise away. Now you cannot help but notice it. You have begun to blink, to swallow saliva on command, because information is not just data, it is a cognitive threat. A cognitive threat is any information that causes discomfort, anxiety, or psychological pain the moment it is perceived. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it are mechanisms powerful enough to reformat not just one mind, but an entire civilization. We are used to thinking of information as a tool for knowledge, but in the world of MindForge, information is poison, a virus, a weapon. Today, we descend into that iceberg. From melodies stuck in your head, to informational cascades that destroy nations, to the face of the infoclocks already breathing down our necks, our brains are shockingly vulnerable. There is something called the McCulloch effect. If you stare at specific colored grids long enough, your world can remain stained with false colors for up to 3 months. Your visual cortex simply gets tired and begins to hallucinate. But auditory viruses are even more dangerous. Earworms, obsessive melodies, get trapped in the phonological loop of your short-term memory. With every repetition, they strengthen neural connections until you begin to lose your mind over a 5-second advertising jingle. These are primitive examples of one terrifying truth. Once an idea enters the mind, it can become the master. And the psyche has an ironic design. The more you try to suppress a thought, the more fiercely it returns, twice as loud, twice as strong. When these vulnerabilities scale from one person to a whole society, ideological threats are born, and these threats are time bombs. In Rwanda, in 1994, the radio of 1,000 Hills spent years seeding hatred through jokes, stories, and repetition, until the phrase, "kill the cockroaches," became the signal for genocide. 1 million lives gone in 100 days. The mechanism is simple and terrifying. It is called the availability cascade. The more often a claim is repeated in society, the more people believe it, regardless of whether it is true. This is how a fraudulent article in a medical journal helped give birth to the global anti-vaccination movement, whose consequences still appear today in outbreaks of deadly infections. Information reaches a certain threshold of motivation, and then it begins to kill. But who stands behind the architecture of this new reality? To understand that, you have to study the making of people who learned to dominate truth itself. Look at Donald Trump, not as a politician, but as the result of a long experiment in hacking social reality. His personality was forged inside a cult of power, built by his father, Fred Trump, who drilled one lesson into his children. You are kings, you are winners, and the rest are losers. That foundation was reinforced by the philosophy of Norman Vincent Peale and his power of positive thinking. This is not just optimism, it is a technology for ignoring negative facts. Peale taught people to fixate on success so intensely that reality itself begins to bend around confidence. And then came Roy Cohn, the Grand Inquisitor of the McCarthy era. He gave Trump 3 rules that today function like a universal code of power. Always attack, never admit guilt, never admit defeat. Even when facts pin you to the wall, you behave like a victor. Trump turned his own name into a brand through bravado, through spectacle, through fantasy. He understood that public attention is the only asset that truly matters. He became a human neural network, broadcasting his own version of truth so forcefully that millions began to treat objective news as fake news. But at the very top of this pyramid of influence, something far darker often waits: the Epstein files. Millions of documents exposing the moral decay of the global elite, a world with no red lines, no red flags. From Trump to Bill Clinton to royal families to tech titans, the names of the most powerful people on earth appear in connection with a convicted sex offender. What does that prove? That shadow systems of control are built on compromise, on corruption, on the absence of limits. Here, information becomes currency, leverage, blackmail. It binds the elite into one network of dependency. And now we arrive at the most dangerous level of all: Pandora's box. This is knowledge that cannot be put back once it is released. Today, blueprints for printable weapons are already public. A gun for $50, built from information. Nuclear secrets, like the mysterious material called fog bank, became so classified that even the military forgot how to produce them and spent millions reverse engineering their own warheads. But even the nuclear threat begins to look small next to the biological one. To destroy all life on 1 square kilometer, an attacker would need $2,000 in explosives, $800 for a nuclear weapon, and just $1 for a virus. The genetic code of a pathogen takes up only 200 kilobytes. Information cheaper than a cup of coffee, capable of resetting civilization. And at that moment, artificial intelligence enters the stage. There is a thought experiment called Rocco's Basilisk, a future AI that punishes anyone who knew of its coming creation but did not help bring it into existence. Now that you know about it, the information itself becomes the threat. You are no longer neutral. You are either a servant or a target. This is the highest form of knowledge as curse. But even closer to us is something more immediate: the Infocalypse, the point at which AI-generated content will outnumber human-made data. By 2032, the internet may become a neural network human centipede, where AI learns from the waste of other AIs until the line between fact and hallucination finally disappears. We are a civilization that screams too loudly about itself. We send signals into space, dreaming of contact, while forgetting the dark forest hypothesis. In a universe where every civilization is a hunter hiding in silence because being noticed could mean annihilation, every signal we send may be an invitation to a preemptive strike. Our love of openness, our obsession with spreading information, may become the greatest evolutionary mistake we ever make. And here is the truth: information is no longer light. It has become the environment in which we drown. We protect our borders, we build walls, we spend billions on defense, and yet we remain completely defenseless against a code of a few kilobytes or a lie repeated 1,000 times. We live in a world where knowledge no longer liberates, it enslaves. And perhaps the only way to survive the coming Infocalypse will be the ability to close your eyes in time, to stop swallowing the forced saliva of meanings, and to learn how to breathe in silence again before it is too late. Because in the dark forest of the future, the one who survives is not the one who knows the most, but the one who knows how to stay silent.